All right, Rory. Now listen, we here celebrating 50 years of hip hop, but we couldn't talk about or celebrate 50 years of hip hop without speaking to some of our favorite people.
Yeah.
So today is a personal day. It's what I think is going to be a fun day and a very informative day because I got a lot of questions for you.
Oh yeah. No, the 10-year-old me is squirming in my chair right now.
I feel it. I feel
fucking excited I am to be able to talk to these
No,
gentlemen.
I'm excited as well, but I'm just being a little more cool about it.
Yeah, I mean,
But today we are sitting with the legendary,
yes,
iconic, the soundtrack to my life, my upbringing, my childhood in New York City. You can't ask me three of my favorite songs without naming a song that these gentlemen produced.
And what's so crazy, Mo, we're 10 years apart. It was the soundtrack to your life and mine, and we're 10 years apart.
Which is crazy.
Which just speaks to how long these gentlemen have been around and making history.
Today we are with the phenomenal, legendary, iconic TrackMasters gentlemen.
We had an applause. Studio audience. I'm Julian and Demaris.
Yeah, like people. We're gonna inform the people that don't know today, Rory.
Yeah,
you know, it's a younger generation, a younger demographic that we have, and some of them may not know exactly how iconic these gentlemen are. So today we're gonna get to all of that.
Yes, because the producer tag wasn't as crazy as it is today. Where you know where everyone produced what.
This is what I'm saying. This is gonna be one of those episodes. So first of all, gentlemen, thank y'all for coming.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank y'all. Rich Knight, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
I want to start at the very beginning.
Because you guys don't do many interviews or press, period.
Nah.
So I think starting right at the beginning is probably the best, right?
Absolutely.
How did TrackMasters start? What was the first interaction you had with the three of y'all?
I don't know if I don't know if it's an exciting story. I don't know. We can keep it do it.
We can do the short version.
You want me to start?
You can start.
All right. So, I started out as an MC.
Okay.
Back in the days, Red Hot Lover Tone.
That's when rappers were called MCs.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Once upon a time.
Once upon a time.
And on my part, I'm from Fort Greene. Polk is from Crown Heights, and there was a gentleman in California looking for music for an artist he was developing. But he wanted a New York sound. So he reached out to some fellas in New York to see if they had any talent. Someone from Fort Greene contacted me. Some from Crown Heights contacted Polk. We didn't know each other at the time. And
how old do you think both of you were around this time?
I was 17.
17.
Okay.
17.
Great.
Tone was 18.
17 too.
I always thought it was 16.
But so I submitted music, Polk submitted music, and out of this, I guess, bag of demos that this guy
And I was 16.
then you were 16. It's fine.
That's why I said I thought it was 16.
It was 16.
You're an asshole.
He trying to shave that age.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'm 16.
I'm a year older. That's why
Okay,
he
there
keeps
you
doing
go.
He's always gonna be old.
So anyway, he selected this music from a bag of demos, and he picked my tape, he picked Polk's tape. And he contacted us and said he was going to be in New York City. He wanted to meet up with us. We haven't met still, me and Polk. So we pulled up to the Trump Plaza, and to meet this gentleman. His name is Andre. To meet this gentleman, and his artist was Lou Ski. I don't know if you remember back in the day, y'all are too young. On Soul Train, there was a guy named Lou Ski. He used to do the finger like this.
He wore a big sombrero.
Yeah, big.
I remember that guy. Yeah.
And he was down with good friends with Michael Bivins, BBD, and all that. So anyway, that's how we met. And when he was putting this thing together, one day he made reference to us as his TrackMasters. And me and Polk looked at each other and said, "That's a dope name."
Yeah.
I drove Polk home that night because he didn't have a car. So I drove him home, dropped him off, and we got to talking and went up to his crib, and he was working on an Amiga computer. And this is obviously pre-Pro Tools and everything, but Polk was making beats with dots and shit on the computer. I'm like, this nerd motherfucker
Their
is
version
crazy.
of Fruity Loops back then.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was
This was 87.
87, right.
Mm.
I had written some songs for a group by the name of Finesse and Quist on Uptown Records.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to Polk, you know, at that time, yo, why don't we just produce some songs for them? Because I was a writer, but Kyle West, Eddie F., and all these legendary guys had worked on Finesse and Quist's project. They were going into project 2. Polk thought it was a good idea. So we teamed up, started making music together, and Puff just happened to be the A&R.
Mm-hmm.
And I met Rich, because Rich was an artist on MCA. That's when everybody was all
King
on
Rich.
MCA.
Yeah.
And but that's the quick story to how we met.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
When did you decide full on producing? Like, we're gonna be TrackMasters rather than maybe MC producer as TrackMasters.
I want to say 90, maybe 90, 91.
Mm-hmm.
I had put out a project on Select Records, and they trashed it. You know, but I had a song with Biggie, the infamous Red Vinyl. We had a dope record out. But Select didn't do the right thing. I realized that, you know, just being an artist signed to an independent like Select wasn't the thing for me, and producing was taking off.
Okay.
So I ran to what was fun and what was paying the bills.
Yeah,
at the
no,
time.
thanks.
So,
Do you guys remember your first placement?
Hakeem,
oh, you going back?
you said the first placement?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a rapper named Hakeem,
Right. Independent artist.
independent artist.
When there was no independent artist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that wasn't a thing
No, it wasn't.
like back then.
He
You
had
say you was
little-
independent?
Yeah, he had like a little financial guy that was giving him some bread.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to put out a project, and he came to the studio that we used to work at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we did like 5-6 songs for him.
Mhm.
And he was just like, yo, I want to put this project out. And we was like, well, I want to put this album out at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we was like, really? You want to use our joints? Okay, like whatever.
Mhm.
Paid us, no money. And
Right. Right.
But was that what had Puff and MCA kind of looking at you guys as legit producers at the time?
Well, Puff, it's funny because it was his first A&R gig, and it was our first time as producers. And he kind of said to us like, yo, I just want to partner with you guys, and I'm just gonna feed you all these artists, and y'all just do the tracks for them. And we was like, shit, we'll do that. Absolutely. Let's go.
Mhm.
And, he was trying to, put his influence and his stamp on the whole Uptown thing,
Yeah.
and build off of what Andre already started
Mhm.
doing. And it kind of worked. And then when we got with Chubb Rock and he started penning, then we went to his project.
Mhm.
And then, it kind of spun from there. Then we went to Cold Chillin' and started doing a bunch of their stuff.
Mhm.
And that just, our name started buzzing like, yo, these guys, we still ain't had no bread. We just twisted,
Yeah.
driving around, like whatever.
Yeah.
I was driving you.
Well, you was
Yeah.
It's funny because our synergy the whole time, like from the day we met, it was more like we could just look at each other and know what we thinking.
Okay.
So we go in the room and we hear some music and I ain't gotta say nothing. I just know what he's thinking about.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
our birthdays are a day apart.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy. It's just
Wow.
it's just weird.
Okay.
So you guys are running around at that time producing. Puff is trying to become somebody in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys meet Mary before that split with Puff and Andre Harrell?
So what happened was Puff was doing the 411 album, and he this is pre anybody trying to put hip hop and R&B together like that, raw hip hop and
Yeah.
R&B together.
Mhm.
And he was like, so we submitted tracks that we thought it was just R&B that he wanted. And he was like, nah, I need that give me what you would give G-Rap. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Give me what you would give G-Rap.
Yeah, that's what
Mary J. Blige.
Yeah. And he used to do weird shit. Like we'll give him a joint and he'd be like, I'll be right back. And he'll go into the next room and then come back. If I can't dance to it, then I can't fuck with it. And it was like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro?
Right.
Yeah.
Because he had a different vision. His vision was, at
Yeah.
the time, it just seemed odd to us.
Mhm.
So after he got blown out at Uptown, what they did was they gave him a consultancy, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, do these projects. So he did. Mary happened to be one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And because he was building off his Bad Boy label situation. And so he's building Mary, and we went up to I went up to Scarsdale, and we got snowed in. Mark Pitts was like his runaround guy.
Mm-hmm.
But Mark used to come get me every day,
Mm-hmm.
go up there. We just, do all the projects, whatever we could.
Mm-hmm.
So
All this was happening in Scarsdale?
this all happened in Scarsdale.
Wow.
This is when he started before he got the Bad Boy offices.
Okay.
So he wanted to, he was just like, yo, we was doing Usher, we was doing a bunch of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the other side, Hev was building on Soul For Real.
Mm.
So we just locked in with Hev. He was like, yo, I kind of like what you guys are doing. Let's just make records.
Mhm.
So we went in and locked in with Soul For Real and did that project. And at the same time, but me and Tone was just like trying to get in where we fit in. We ain't know what was going on
Mhm.
in terms of how much work we were doing.
Right.
And then one day, Puff was like, yo, let's go to Hit Factory. I went to Hit Factory. We just he's in there with Mary. He was like, yo, she's gonna get on one of your joints. I was like, all right, come, let's go. We went, and she went in and did Happy one take. And
Crazy.
it was like, it was crazy.
Had she heard the beat prior to, or did you guys play it for her on the
Not
spot?
Puff was more of a get on this
Yeah.
kind of guy. Just get on it.
And they trusted him.
So she sat there, and she sat in the studio, and she wrote it, and she went in the booth, and she did the first take, and we was just like looking at each other like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
does she have to do it again?
Right.
And then she was like, yo, let's just one more time for good measure. But we went with the first take. So what you hear on the record, it was just heard from top to bottom.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And what's Big doing around this time? Because Mary started popping obviously before Big, and they had the Real Love remix.
Right.
How are you guys looking at Big at that time? Just as one of Puffy's mans, or
he's kind of from the neighborhood.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, so we was just like, he's just coming off of Party and Bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't really want to do those kind of R&B-ish radio records.
Yeah.
He was like, y'all trying to make me soft, man.
Mhm.
That's not who I am. And Puff was like, yo, arguing with he didn't want to do Flavor in Your Ear. He was just
Crazy.
like, I'm not doing that.
Wow.
He was like, Craig Mack didn't want to do Flavor in Your Ear either.
the fact that Flavor in Your Ear could looked at as soft, crazy to me now. I mean, I guess at that time I
At
get
that time, because hip hop was very
Hard.
but now Flavor in Your Ear is like the hardest shit ever compared to what it is.
yeah.
Facts.
Yeah.
They didn't want to do it.
Well, then I
Wow.
guess this is a good time to ask, what is the real story with Juicy? Because we've heard there's a Pete Rock side, we've heard the Puff side.
Yeah.
What happened with the creation? We saw the Notorious movie.
Because
Where-
Pete Rock is saying, he said obviously that Puff stole a sample from him. Like
How can
that's
you
what-
steal a sample from somebody else's record?
That is an interesting point. How do you steal a
How do
sample?
you do that?
Right.
Like everybody got how many records Juicy the original sold?
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody got the vinyl. What the fuck you talking about, bro?
Right. Because you're credited as the
As the
producer.
producer, because I produced the record.
Right.
All right, so Tone and I have this distinctive kind of sound where it sounds like it's pop, but it sounds like it's hip hop.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's because of the way that we use our kicks and snares and the way that we flip the sample itself. So we remove the kicks and snares from the original sample
Okay.
and we put our shit on it so it doesn't. All other producers at the time were putting kicks and snares on top of the kicks and snares. We removed the kick and snares from the original records
Got you.
at the time when that was not a way to do it.
Mhm.
Technology
even know.
nowadays, it's easy to
It's
do.
either
Yeah.
Back
but-
then, poke and
Took more
had
skill.
trick
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
Right.
Process.
Yeah.
So we removed the kicks and snares and we put our kicks and snares, our bass line, our everything on it. So it sounds like it's a little poppy,
Yeah.
but it still sounds like the original. And you're like, how are they doing that kind of thing? So Puff came to the studio one day. He was like, yo, I want to flip this shit. And I was like, nigga, I got you. That's nothing.
Mhm.
So I went home, I flipped it, I brought it back, I laid it. Big sat on the couch. We didn't know what the fuck he was doing. Next he said, all right, I'm going in. He was like, nigga, you ain't gonna write it?
Right.
And this is the first time I didn't know that he didn't write.
Okay.
He just did it off the top.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, that's how this nigga work. Okay, cool. You know what I mean? All this time. So went in and he just laid it and he hated it. And it became the first single, and when it blew, he loved it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
I love this
Oh, wait,
fucking record.
big check. Say no more.
You know what I mean? So it was that kind of thing.
How are y'all feeling at this time though between Candy Rain, Happy, and Juicy within 1 year? I mean, outside of doing more on Ready to Die and other stuff, just that whole 1994 run, was that the first year y'all felt like
94, 95.
oh,
was the
shit.
golden year.
But we did way other shit
Yeah.
before that.
Yeah, for sure.
Like everything on Cold Chillin', G-Rap, what's his name? Louis Ranking,
Louis
everything
Rankin.
that was popping.
Yeah, mad shit.
Yeah.
That's what got us there.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I don't know. I guess like at the time, because I mean, those records were all in the top 10 at the same time.
Yeah. Like
We
that's
didn't
got to be a
even-
crazy
We
feeling.
didn't even.
we were playing in the arcade.
Yeah, we were going to arcade and
That's
shit.
crazy.
Completely off the
We
radar.
was just regular kids, still,
Mhm.
you know, at that time. And I think, I mean, it's a cool segue to Stout. Steve was the one that really pointed out, like, yo, you got 3 records in the top 10.
Yeah.
Let me manage you. You know.
Y'all busy playing Gallagher or some shit.
Yeah. That's how we met Steve.
Who is Steve Stout at this point?
Steve Stout at that point was an A&R at RCA.
Mhm.
And the story, he'll tell it different. I'll tell it my way. But the story is I went up there just to sell him some. We knew each other, honestly, from going to the arcade, playing running gun and shit. What's up? What's up? That's how we met. I went up to his office just to play him some beats.
Mm-hmm.
And the day I went up there, he walked out the room, came back and said, yo, I just got fired. So, and I was like,
0 for 2 with A&Rs. Puff and Steve Stout. Both fired the shop.
And I was like, oh shit, that's fucked up. And then he said, what are you doing? You know, and he pointed out, you know, all the hits that we had at the time. He said, yo, we just moving music. That's all we're doing. He's like, who manages you?
Mm.
Like, we manage ourselves.
Mm.
And he says, do you need a manager? I was like, not really, but you know, he says, you'll give me an opportunity to manage you and I can make things happen. And the rest is history, you know, from our run that we went on, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is wild. And also in 94, Illmatic comes out. What did you guys think at that point of who Nas was? And then how did that connection happen for the second album?
Illmatic. I think we have different perspectives of Illmatic. I mean, you can go first about Illmatic.
Well, I'm an Esco fan, so I was just blown away because his lyrical abilities is second to none.
Before you go there, which album to y'all is better, Illmatic or It Was Written?
It was written.
Well, bias. I agree though. I'm on the side of It Was Written.
Nah, I say that because
I say some records from Illmatic and some records from it.
It Was Written was a better project. I thought because I'm a Nas fan.
It Was
as
Written
well.
is better sonically and lyrically to me.
It was.
I agree.
Yeah.
No. I agree with you.
Okay.
I think the title It Was Written is probably the best hip hop title of all time, but I felt the project was short. And back then I remember putting the project in saying, damn, Halftime, Genesis was a skit. Damn, this shit is short.
Yeah, so
You know?
it's an EP almost.
So I felt, although I liked every track as a fan, I was disappointed. It was just too short for me,
Mhm.
you know. So that's the reason I say what I say.
Okay.
Because I remember how I felt about Illmatic, and I knew Nas at the time. We did Back to the Grill
Mm-hmm.
together and everything. And so when we came time to work on It Was Written, I had Illmatic in my mind, and I had to be better than Illmatic, obviously. And we
Do
got-
y'all do that when creating? Like y'all hear an album from an artist and say, damn, if I get the chance to work with him, I already know what I'm going in there with?
Before we walk in the door,
Yeah.
we got a sound, like a theme
Okay.
that we come up with.
Do you think Nas had maybe a perception of you guys with in 94 having those 3, I don't want to call them pop records, but shit on the chart that was Happy, Juicy, and Candy Rain,
Mhm.
and he's coming off Illmatic. Did he think you guys were going to take him more in the route of the polished sound and
Nah.
rather than like maybe the premiere?
He also heard Ill Street Blues and all the other.
Yeah.
He knows
That
that
was
it's hip hop.
a special Coachella and stuff.
Yeah, he already knows it's hip hop guys.
He had a core audience. We already knew that audience, what they were. But in order for him to be bigger than that audience, he has to transcend that audience.
Right.
So I remember being I went to the PJs to me and Stout. We sitting in the car, and Esco's in the back, and he's like, he was like, yo, I can't wait to work with you guys. I think that you guys are gonna do great things. I've always been a fan. And then as Steve said, yo, just drop that verse that you was coming up with. And this guy says, I never brag, how real I keep it. It's the best secret. I rock a vest, prestigious. Cuban link flooded Jesus. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I went home and got busy. That's all I had to hear.
Yeah.
I know what he gonna do.
Right.
So
What were some of those first sessions like?
Fun as fuck.
jokes.
Jokes
So,
for days.
that was the introduction of a place called Bearsville. Wasn't in New York. It was, and we left the city just to get away. I think there was a lot of distractions at the time.
Mm-hmm. Still are.
Still are. Right. Obviously, one of the distractions was you're working with Polk and Tone, and they are, they're going to water down your sound. And that was one of the distractions. So there was a lot of flack coming from that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The streets were talking like, how come they work? He's working with them niggas.
Right.
Yeah.
And we went up to Bearsville.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a barn and shit. The studio literally is in a barn.
Yeah.
And it's like fucking Jason Voorhees running around. Shit was scary as fuck.
Yeah, it was pitch
But,
black.
anyway, so we got up there and we just jumped in. We had prepared, some joints before we got up to Bearsville.
Mm-hmm.
And Nas was, hats off to Nas. He was open to everything. Literally put up a beat and he'd jump on it. And that's basically how we just created. He had his whole crew up there. We had our crew up there. The barn had a basketball court and shit. So
We played ball.
not a real basketball court, but we played ball.
All you need is a hoop. That's it.
That's it.
So,
A lot of weed up there. So, we made it as, urban as possible.
Yeah.
And we just created with no distractions.
right.
So with Tone and Poe, who handles more of the R&B, and who leads more when it's an R&B vibe, and who leads more when it's a hip hop vibe?
It's funny because we both do the same thing.
Yeah, we do the same.
Really?
Yeah. We feed off each
Wow.
other. Like, Tone to get on an MP and he'll be fucking with some shit and I'll just be looking at him and I'll either nod or and he okay. Or I'll do the same thing and yes, nay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or, something, okay, like I'm skipping some shit, but
All right.
I had some sounds up on the MP and in the studio that we had in Jersey. And Tone was like, I just had sounds selected, sampled. And Tone was like, yo, what the fuck are these?
Yeah.
And he started fucking with it. And I'm looking at this guy, he's like, he's hearing something. I don't know what the hell he's hearing. And he starts fucking with it. And that's how he came up with the Jay-Z R. Kelly record.
Yeah.
Just the sounds that were in there at the time that just sampled. Because we used to just...
I'm talking about Fiesta.
No, I'm talking about...
Did you ever think?
No. Well, no, not did you ever...
Yo, don't do that. That's a flex. Right there. What you just did right
There's
now
also
was
a whole
crazy.
album of
Yo, what you talking about, Fiesta? Oh, you talking about Did You Ever? like you just going through some crazy classic records. It's joint. You know for sure.
Nah, it was Fiesta.
No, it was Shorty.
Oh, Shorty. Okay.
Right.
All right. But I think if there's a difference between the two of us, it's Polk is more technical than I am. He's into studio equipment and technology. I am not. I'm strictly creative.
Yeah.
And that story he told, I can tell that about a few records where Polk is the technical guy where he'll chop sounds and shit and have things sitting in the studio, just in the MP, just sitting there, and I'll come in and be like, "What you fucking with?" And I'll start, and then I'll create something off of it.
Yeah.
So I think that's really the biggest difference between he believes in quantizing, I don't.
When you guys cut the message, did anyone in the studio think he was dissing Pac?
No.
It
That-
took
that
me
wasn't even a
years later that was a theory that
Yeah.
Pac was upset that he was.
It was actually-
I listened back. I'm like, huh?
Nah, he didn't just Pac. He just Jay.
Yeah,
That makes more sense to me.
TV sets the minimum.
Yeah.
Not just on one line. Just
Yeah.
Lexus TV sets the minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just that line.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
It wasn't really a diss. It was just a shot.
Let's talk about The Firm.
Fucking firm.
Well, affirmative action being on, it was written.
Yeah.
Was that like kind of set in stone when you guys were cutting that this was
Well,
gonna
that
be
was
a
the
group?
beginning. That was the beginning.
Yeah, that was the
of
first. That was the
Right.
first record.
Right.
Were they talking about that in the studio? Like, all right, this is the group now. Nature, Cormega, Foxy.
I don't want to say they was talking about the group at that time. I know that the sound that was developed,
Yeah.
inspired bringing that whole thing together.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had started fucking with, you know, guitars and Spanish guitars and just introducing sounds to hip hop that people weren't doing
Absolutely.
at the time. Obviously, Nas and AZ,
That was
Already, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Them, both of them on a record. It is what it is.
Yeah.
We were working with Nature, who was signed to Nas and TrackMasters.
Mhm.
So it was
Love Nature.
a natural, hey, Nature's part of the firm.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had already produced Foxy,
Mm-hmm.
who there was like a Nas Foxy relationship, Fox Jay-Z relationship.
Mhm.
Choose a side. What the fuck are you doing? And then ultimately chose Firm.
Yeah.
And it came together more natural. It wasn't like we were pulling people for it, but
Right.
it came together real natural.
I don't mean to put you guys on the spot, but why didn't anyone check Foxy's math on affirmative action?
That shit sounds good.
It sounded amazing.
I watched her write the rhyme.
I tried to carry the one, and I was
watched
like,
her
I don't know.
It just sounded believable. So it was like,
When was that call from Nas though to like, hey, we want to do the firm and we want to get Dre involved?
That was okay. That was Steve's doing.
Yeah.
Getting Dre involved. Dre had started his new record,
Aftermath.
right? His new
Aftermath,
company, right? And Steve was had a really good relationship with Jimmy Iovine at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Dre didn't have an opening act, a group, and this was a perfect placement
Mm-hmm.
for the firm. Obviously, we had to get clearance from everybody,
Yep.
but it was just a perfect lineup. So Dre got involved. I just told this story.
I know this conversation.
Dre got involved, and Dre obviously, I mean, hats off to Dre. We went out to Miami to start the first recordings of the Firm project.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously we had developed the sound for the Firm. So Dre was trying to just get in, like figure it out, you
Mhm.
know. In the first, damn near the first week almost, all the rappers were in our room. Dre had a room of, was it upstairs or downstairs? Downstairs. We had a room upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone was in our room because we had the fucking Fire New York shit.
Right.
They were jumping on our shit. Dre would come in and listen to what's going on and then go back to his room to try to create.
Mm-hmm.
And the rap artists would go in there, check on some of his shit, pop their head, but they wouldn't rap on anything,
Mhm.
right?
Mm.
And then finally, by the time the end of the week came, I guess Dre was fed the fuck up. And he told everybody to come over to the room and he pushed fucking play and phone tap came on and shit. And that was pretty much the end. I don't think we did another beat
That's
on
it,
the track,
yeah.
on the album after
That
that.
was the finish.
Did y'all clash at all? Y'all
No,
Nah,
no.
we was
The relationship was
yeah.
Yeah.
We went to dinners together. Everything.
Yeah.
It was more of like a like a team thing. Like we're gonna get together to try to make this project what it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
And he, he's mad cool. Like,
He came to the Shark Bar in New York. Like,
the shock.
yes, Dre came to the Shark Bar.
Wow. That's some legendary shit. Right there.
For me, it was a learning experience just watching Dre work because I
right.
seen how
He works absolutely way different
Yeah.
than anybody
right.
Mm.
that I've ever seen. Because we MPC'd out. We just like pull the tracks up. This guy goes very old school in nature in terms of how he mixes to the half inch and the way that he was doing it. We was like, he's masters that way too. I'm just like,
Yeah.
we was confused. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck are you doing, bro?
Yeah.
You walk into a Dre session and he'll play your track, but the shit sounds mixed and mastered. It's just
Yeah.
the track,
Yeah.
because he's such a perfectionist.
Mhm.
And he's an engineer too, so
Yeah.
He knows how
So
to.
from the jump, he know how he wanted to sound.
He's doing it as he goes along.
Yeah.
That's how everybody does it now.
Yeah.
And
Right.
give 2 mixes, like
Mhm.
get on that. He was doing that from the gate.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Okay.
I mean, of course, there's politics that may not even have involved y'all at all. But why do you think the firm didn't give a second album? And how did y'all feel when Hit Boy and Nas got kind of like a firm reunion back together?
I can't remember why the firm didn't have a second go around. Honestly,
A lot of personalities.
Yeah.
different
Can see that.
personalities.
Egos.
I mean, 2 different labels.
3 different labels.
3 different labels.
Expensive.
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
lot.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
And it was expensive as
It was
well.
expensive.
And we talk
I
about
saw
a
the
time when
numbers.
the music videos were $1 million.
Yeah.
So that was another thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They crashing
Front
cars
Biz
in the
was a
fucking
$1
East
million
River and shit.
video, yeah.
I'm sure the sample wasn't cheap either.
What happened with the label? Because y'all had Ali Vegas, I
Okay.
remember, right?
Trackman.
Which was one of my favorite
a lot of different
rappers at one point. 50, obviously.
Yeah.
Um,
Allure, we had Allure. We had Black.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did some good things. I mean, the quick story is, without telling the politics side of the story, we
Fuck that.
basically
Tell the politics.
nah.
Fuck
I
that.
agree.
Man,
Tell the politics.
This is the
I
shit.
agree.
This is the shit as a fan, and just I'm just like, damn, what happened with that? And now that I have y'all here, I just want to know.
Corporate policies
Yep.
and they're cocksuckers.
That'll sum it up.
Yeah, there go right there. Yeah.
That's fine.
Did that make you?
You know what it is? That corporate world is fucking crazy.
Oh yeah.
They feel threatened when they see you doing well,
Mm-hmm.
and they're looking at you like, oh shit, my job is in jeopardy kind of thing. So
Yeah.
they start sabotaging shit,
Mm-hmm.
and because they see you moving.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first year we when they gave us the executive vice president roles at Columbia, they immediately they started taking some of our resources and
Mhm.
using it for their rock shit and their pop shit.
Okay.
And they went from 600 maybe 700 million in billing,
Mm-hmm.
and when we walked in the building, they went up to $1.2 billion in billing.
Yeah.
So we were the ones that bought that there.
Yeah.
So they start taking, oh no, there's threats and all kind of shit. So the straw that broke the camel's back was we had a meeting with Paul McCartney, and
Oh wait, you jumped. You skipped.
that's good.
Yeah.
That's another crazy flex in itself anyway. But we ain't gotta talk
You
about
skipped
that.
over before you got to
We had a
Paul.
meeting with Paul McCartney. Like, what? Okay.
You skipped. He's asking what happened to the label. We were inside at that time. So what happened to the label? Basically, it was me, Polk, and Stout had our label.
Mm-hmm.
Stout went to run Interscope.
Right.
Okay.
We went to run Columbia.
Got you.
And when we went inside,
They
they
absorbed,
absorbed the
artists.
label. And
Gotcha.
Oh,
They
okay.
absorbed the artists, so the artists were on Columbia because now we're Columbia employees.
Yeah.
Right.
We still had the imprint, Trackmasters imprint,
Yeah.
but now we got to handle everything on the roster.
Got you.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
there's no bias there. So we got to make sure that everybody's taken care of.
Wow.
So when you're on Columbia, when you meet a young Curtis Jackson?
We met him before that.
Yeah.
Okay.
He came to
He
Bears.
came to Bearsville, right?
Yeah, he was in Bearsville. That's
Word.
right.
Corey Rooney brought him to our attention,
Mm-hmm.
and he played us one record, and we looked at each other like, "Yo, who the fuck is this?"
Yeah.
Mhm.
And he's like, "Yo, I'll bring him up." And he came to Bearsville, and we was just like, "Yo, we want to fuck with you. Let's make some records." And we couldn't stop him from getting on everything.
This motherfucker rapped on everything we created.
We ran out of beats.
We ran out of beats. He rapped on. There's probably versions of him rapping over Nas shit because we had no more beats.
Yeah.
So
Now is he still with Jam Master Jay
Nah,
contractually at this time?
No.
Or okay.
no, I don't think so.
yeah, we got him out of that agreement, and he was signing us direct, and then we started making Power the Dollar album, and Rich was his A&R,
Mm-hmm.
and he just kept bringing us records, and we was like, okay, that works, this
Mhm.
works, and we was just trying to figure out the formula to make him, because we already knew that he was a monster in terms of his work ethics and lyrical content, but we was just trying to figure out how do we get you from the hood to stardom,
Mm-hmm.
but keep you there, and he had all that beef shit that was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And we was trying to keep him out of the beef while making this, but the beef wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
And we was just like, it's not that it wouldn't stop. We was trying to separate it, but it
But Ghetto Quran was too dope. It was too good of a song.
yo, listen.
He was already on parole.
Yeah.
We had to get approval from the judge to take him to Cancun to perform.
Yes.
Like this was promo early. So
Yeah.
it wasn't easy from the gate.
Okay.
But in Bisville, I got a CD with 37 records on it that never came out.
And-
Wow.
Well,
Yeah, it was-
56 total, 37 of his. Like the
Crazy.
other ones is like other beats that he can't use.
Okay.
Yeah.
Being his A&R, how did the Destiny's Child shit come about?
The Destiny Child record, it was a beat that honestly I had originally grabbed for one of our R&B groups.
Okay.
And Fifth came in the office and I was playing and he's like, "What's that?" And I said, "That's for." He was like, "Nah, that's for me." And I was like, "Nah, that's for them." He's like, "Nah, that's for me." And I was like, "No, that's for them." He's like, "No, that's for me." And I said, "Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
You want this?"
Both ours.
Yeah.
So I said, "Okay." They didn't hear it yet, so sorry, I'm not gonna say who it was because they'll be mad. And I gave him a cassette,
Mhm.
and he went and wrote it and came back and spit it the next day.
Mm.
And I played it for them. They was like, "We need somebody big on this."
And we were at the time we were in charge of Destiny's Child,
Yeah.
the label.
Right.
So
We just finished doing the Writing on the Wall album.
mhm.
And we was like, okay, we're gonna put them on the hook.
Mm.
See how that works.
Mhm.
And we was just about to launch that shit, and then the incident at the Hit Factory happened. and that kind of like, back to the corporate bullshit.
Yeah.
They was just like, see, if we were at Interscope, Jimmy would have embraced that shit.
Okay.
Been like, yo, let's use that to
Yeah.
propel shit. But Columbia is very, very corporate. Sony very, very corporate. And it was just like, nah, we're not doing that.
Mhm.
And so they was just like, yo, we can't use this Curtis Jackson guy anymore.
And without getting into that actual beef, what was the office like the days after he was shot? Was it, it's clipped, like we're done with this? How do we get him out of his contract immediately?
It didn't happen that fast, but
Because everyone was shocked.
yeah, everyone
Yeah.
was shocked more or less. But there were conversations coming from corporate. I think at the time, Ice-T had Cop Killer or some crazy shit going on back then. So it was just they didn't want to deal with any of the
They was trying to separate
gangster
from that.
rap.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Yeah.
They sent an internal memo. You can't go visit him in the hospital, which was like crazy. We
Right.
still all went to see him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like,
We had to send security to the fucking hospital because, the beef wasn't done.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just, and then he went to go stay at in Pennsylvania just to lay low.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to just come back and forth like, yo, what we doing? Kind of thing. And then, but back to the corporate bullshit. We had the Paul McCartney meeting to try to do. So at the time, Paul McCartney had the Beatles #1 albums, and we had the Destiny's Child.
Writings on the Wall.
Which one?
You talking about Writings on the Wall?
No, the
That small project.
nah, the
Independent.
Charlie Independent Woman.
independent.
Okay.
So
Oh, yeah, I think I remember that song.
we had the #1 single.
It was
they had-
attached to a movie that was pretty good, right?
Small movie.
Charlie's Angels.
Independent film.
Some unknown actresses, I believe.
Yeah. So we had the #1 single in the country. He had the #1 albums with the Beatles.
Small group.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was just like,
Michaels,
yo,
they're publishing.
let's get together and do a Beatles remix album. So it was like, all right, cool. So we met with that, and so they were angry that we didn't invite them to the meeting.
Right. He came to meet with TrackMasters.
Not Columbia.
Not
in
right.
Columbia.
Right. But it was in Columbia's office.
It was
Okay.
a big deal. Like, when he came into the building, they were like, "Who's in the building?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he wasn't going to see Tommy Mottola or Donnie Ienner or Will Potwin.
He was coming to see
He
hip hop.
coming to see hip hop.
Yeah.
So
What was that conversation like?
it
with-
was
with
good.
Sir
we
Paul
was
McCartney?
gonna it was gonna happen.
Mm.
And then
Did he reference any work that y'all had done? Like
well he already
start the
knew.
meeting? Like, yo, I love this. I love this song in particular.
Well, we was kind of bowing to him, like it's Paul McCartney.
Naturally,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he was cool. He was, he just wanted to figure out how we can incorporate the sound to make the Beatles now
Yeah.
for the audience at the time.
Okay.
So we talked about that, and then then we got the fucking phone call like, yo, how you gonna bring Paul McCartney in the building and you ain't invite us? I was like, what the fuck y'all talking about? This ain't your meeting?
Right.
And then, our attorney called us. Do you really have Paul McCartney in the building? I was like, yes. What's the problem?
Mhm.
And they was like, you shouldn't have did that. It's like, fuck them.
Shouldn't have invited Paul McCartney to our office.
Yes.
That's just insane.
So we walked out the building.
Wow.
It's like, we not doing this shit no more. Y'all are babies.
Yeah.
And we walked across the street and L.A. Reid gave us a bag.
Yeah.
That's simple.
Just walked across the street and went to Arista.
What was the first thing you had said to L.A. Reid, though, coming out of that Columbia situation?
Well, L.A. was like, y'all are really leaving?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was trying to put together this big conglomerate of all the biggest producers and all the biggest writers kind of thing and make Arista this big thing,
Yeah.
which he did.
Yeah, he did.
It's a lot of personalities, though.
Mhm.
You're talking about Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, L.A. Babyface, Pharrell,
Jermaine Dupri.
TrackMasters,
Mhm.
Naughty by Name. What's the name from Naughty by Name? KG.
Yeah.
Shakespeare at the time.
Yeah,
This
Shakespeare.
is like a lot of personalities.
Yeah.
So, we went over there and we, tried to just fit in and be part of the clique. You know what I mean?
Now, as just a fan of music growing up, I always felt like TrackMasters. I feel like Pharrell and Chad kind of owe y'all a lot of praise, because I feel like we don't get Star Trek, we don't get the Neptunes without the TrackMasters. That's just me being a fan.
Yeah.
The sound is obviously hip hop and R&B.
Facts.
Have y'all ever had that conversation in private with Pharrell?
Never a conversation like that. I think there's always been a mutual respect. I mean, when we were at Columbia, he actually came up to the label and shopped a Star Trek imprint. Played music, and at that time he was like, "Yo, I respect you guys and what you do. I want, But no, we just became mad cool after that. Because time had passed, and Pharrell has his own sound. So if he respects what we have done, we absolutely respect what he did.
Right.
Yeah.
And I actually started off the Nori shit because he got on the Nori project. He got on the Nori project, and that's kind of how our relationship kind of kicked it. And then when we got to Columbia, he used to come up there to try to shop his shit. And he, he's crazy talented, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If I bring up just some records, if you guys have some quick memories of each of the sessions. Cameron, Horse and Carriage, featuring Mace.
So comes into the Undears come to we working on some European act. I can't remember what the name of the act. Kobe Kobutosh?
Tosha Kabuto?
Oh shit!
Was it Tosha Kabuto or the Garbage remix?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Okay, so comes in. He was like, "Yo, I need something for Cam. I need the hit. I need the joint that'll turn the tonal upside down." I'm like, okay. The fuck does that sound like on him? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I something that we put together, and we was just like, and I played it, and Cam was like, "Oh, I'll be back." He went into the other room and started writing. So, and then came back and we knew, and then Mace came in and Mace started singing the melody, the Austin Garage. And we was, oh yeah, that shit, yeah, that's gonna work. All right, let's go. And they went in and laid it and it worked.
Will Smith getting jiggy with it.
Oh my God.
Another small record.
All right, so one day, this is funny. One day, we meet Will. We're like, yo, we like this guy. We think that he's gonna brick us, and we're gonna be finished after this project. But when we met him, we was like, yo, this guy is so nice. Like, how can I say no to him?
Yeah.
And he comes in, he knows he's corny. He's like, yo, bro, I'm the corniest guy in the world. But I promise you, I'm not gonna let y'all down. It's gonna be a thing.
I respect that.
Right. So we was just like, all right, so we'll catch a break. We'll take that. We do the entire project in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I go home, I find the na. And I was like, oh, this shit sound dope. Let me just use this.
Mm-hmm.
And then I find the greatest dancer loop and I flip it and I put it on because I was DJing at oh yes, this is gonna work.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it to the studio. And me and this guy are in the other room. And I say, Will, you're gonna do this. And you're gonna move your hands like this. And you're gonna say, getting jiggy with it. That's all I want you to say. And me and him doing the dance looking like morons.
Mm-hmm.
and
Before TikTok.
doing the dance looking like morons.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like getting jiggy with it. So he's doing that. And then Nas comes in
Yep.
and Nas starts penning the song for him. And
It's crazy.
him and Tone just went in.
And it just came up a small record. Nothing crazy. Nothing too crazy.
It wasn't identified as a single yet. It was just another record that we did for the project.
Okay.
Jay-Z Maya Best of Me remix.
Oh no.
Oh, no. And how does Kiss feel about that to this day?
Word.
Um,
And does Hove regret his stance that he took?
that record came about. Obviously, Steve was the A&R at Interscope at the time. He had Meyer. He wanted to do a remix. Went in, flipped it. Flipped the remix.
Flip the track.
And the only thing I can remember is that Jay-Z didn't want to do the record.
Yeah.
And we chased Jay to Chicago and then ultimately LA. I think he laid his verse.
Mm-hmm.
He just didn't want to do it. And I think the reason was when we played the record, he came into the Hit Factory. Maya was there. We came into the record. When he walked in, Maya didn't really give him, oh shit, Hove is here.
Mm-hmm.
She was more like, I guess, a brat, so to speak.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
But she's reserved.
she
Yeah.
that's just how she is.
is,
She
right?
was just real cool. And then I know Jay was like with style, like she don't know she's about to get a hit record.
Mm-hmm.
And
I hear Jay saying that.
and he spit 4 bars to Stout, on how it would the record would sound, but he wouldn't put the verse down, and he left. So then,
So now Stout has to sell it.
now Stout has to go get the record.
Yeah.
And Jay just he did it for Stout at the end of the day, But I think that's the best memory that comes to play, chasing Jay around to get that verse.
Mm-hmm.
And her management not wanting the song.
They didn't want the song? What?
I hope she fired them.
What the fuck?
Meth and Mary, All I Need remix. I don't know if that was necessarily a session or just Puff coming to y'all, but
It was a super session.
okay.
There was fireworks on that session.
Mm.
So we're in the Hit Factory, the old Hit Factory. And then this is when Puff used to use us to just do all the Bad Boy.
Mhm.
This is pre-Hitman.
Okay.
So they come in, and I go in. I'm on the M1 keyboard, and I'm flipping the track. So it's just the drums playing, and I start playing the bass line, doom 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 doom, and now the room is lit. But I got the entire Staten Island on my shoulders, like, and I'm looking back like all these niggas.
Very
looking at
understanding
me.
gentleman.
Yo, bitch. So I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? and I couldn't get out of there fast enough.
Yeah.
So Stout comes in and he's like, yo, why the fuck are you giving these niggas records? Why are you giving them why are you giving records away?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, what the fuck you want this? But he called me, he asked me to do the record.
Yeah.
No. So him and Puff are in the hallway arguing, like going at each other's necks because Puff don't pay.
Yeah.
At the time, he was just like, fuck that. That's my niggas. No, that's my niggas. No, that's my niggas.
Yeah.
So they had that transaction, and Mary's now singing in my ear, and Meth is over there writing, and I'm just like, what the fuck? And then when I say there's 2 sessions that had wild weed smoke, that one and Cypress Hill. But that one was right there with Cypress Hill. You couldn't see 2 feet in front of you. It was like that. So, you know, he went in, Mary laid her parts, and then Meth went and laid his part, and that was history.
Fiesta.
Which day? Fiesta.
Were you allowed to look him in his eyes?
Yeah. But we had a working relationship.
Moss told me stories, so I just
he went crazy on tour. But that's
Who told you those stories?
Maul.
R. Kelly.
Oh,
that was
about R.
at the
Kelly.
Garden that night. I didn't understand what that was about. I never heard "Don't look me in my face" when I walk through the halls. I was like,
We can come
It's funny
back
'cause he didn't
and have
treat
a
us
whole
like that.
nother episode of that.
Okay,
That
all right, cool.
takes
About the
time.
entire album.
okay,
Yes,
Wow.
that's a thing. But the Fiesta. So went down
Chicago.
in Chicago. I just jumped right to it. We created Fiesta in the studio, and R. Kelly must have invited, I don't know, a bunch of people all up to the studio, 20 people up to the studio, and we partied to the song for at least 5 hours, just dancing on repeat to this record. Played it for Steve. He was like, yo, we got to get Jay on this record. And Jay said, all right, I'll come down. Jay came down to Chicago, and R. Kelly stood him up the first day. Didn't show up to the studio. So Jay didn't put a verse down. And then the second day, R. Kelly shows up late to the studio. On the third day, Jay was like, I'm out, I'm leaving. But they said, yo, Rob is at the studio right now. You know, y'all can pull up. So Jay went over, they had a conversation. Jay had the verse already written, obviously. And then he put his verse down after, you know, obviously there was some mutual respect,
Yeah.
you know. And yeah, that's really it for Fiesta. But I think R. Kelly standing up whole for like 2 days to get the verse was the thing that sticks out.
That makes sense now. Like the whole fiasco that happened on tour. Like hearing that, I could see how things went left with the tour. It's like, yo, we had a conversation years ago, homie, and you still with this bullshit. But yeah, whatever.
But not after doing the fucking album, though.
Right.
Exactly. We got through that.
Yeah.
Made a crazy album. Now we trying to live, but that's a difference though. Being on the road together and performing together and things like that versus, you know, doing a project in the studio. I'm sure y'all know it's 2 different type of artists when you talking about on tour and then in the studio.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Energy's different.
Yeah.
100%.
Independent woman, Destiny's Child.
Okay.
All right, so they were looking for a remix. Well, they wanted to get a record for the Charlie's Angels soundtrack, and then they had the Independent Woman record that Beyonce already did, and me and Corey just had a conversation. He was out in Long Island, so he said, "Yo, just pull up. Let's just sit down and just kick it." So I went out there, and for maybe 3 hours, we just sat there and talked. We ain't do nothing, and then we made the track in 10 minutes. And all right, I'm out. Sent it. Beyonce was in Hawaii, doing some promo stuff. And we sent her the track, went into the office, and then she sent back the song. And we was like, oh, this shit is fire. And I played it for Tone, and he was like, oh, okay, we got something. We got one. Okay, let's go. And then we played for Donnie, and immediately they was like, all right, this is the plan. Huddle. And they were like, okay, we're going. And it became what it became.
So y'all making that record, y'all didn't know that was going to be the song for...
No, we didn't know until we got her version of the song.
Oh, wow.
After she did all her vocals and stuff. And then we was like, yes, this is it. And then, and you know, it became like the biggest BDS spinning record in history.
Yeah.
This is another small record y'all did.
Um,
I got a lot
Might have
of
heard
small
of
records.
it.
You might have heard,
Might
of
have
it.
heard of it.
this youngest generation knows Nori the podcaster. What is Nori the rapper like in the studio?
Funny as fuck.
Comedy.
I always tell people, Nori being a podcaster, it makes
All the sense.
all the sense in the world
Yeah.
because if you knew him, you knew his personality went beyond
Facts.
rapping and hip hop. He just was one of the best storytellers, most animated
Mhm.
guys that you probably would ever be in a room with. But it is funny to me when, to this day, I see people that don't know Nori the rapper and
Right.
don't know the songs that he did.
Right.
And I'm just like, it's a sign of the times.
Right.
Like, damn, am I getting old that fast? Like, I feel like I was just jamming to that shit 5 years ago. You know what I mean? But as a rapper, how important was it for you guys to get with Nori and put y'all imprint on him?
I mean, man, it's a while ago. First of all, we were fans and friends with Nori.
Yeah.
Right? Coming off the Firm project and
Mhm.
everything. He kind of forced his way onto that project. Nori, you forced your way
sounds like
onto
Nori,
that. makes sense.
He came to Bearsville and lived there. Right? I ain't going nowhere.
Got on anything he could.
Yeah.
He has obviously my favorite record on the Firm album is Nori's record with
Yeah.
Nature.
Mm.
Getting head in the whip without
Yeah.
crashing it.
Because it's what? Him
No,
and Half
no,
a Mil are the
this.
only features on
Nori know that.
the
Yeah.
Firm project?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That might be his grand solo appearance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, coming off War Report. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, in the studio, Nori's a professional, man.
Oh, all the way. He don't.
Professional in the studio. He gets busy. I know when we did NORE, I showed up to the studio. He had all his boys in there, and then when I walked in, he was like, "Yo, y'all got to clear the room." And he cleared the room out. You know.
Doesn't happen on Drink Champs. Everybody's in the room.
Right. Yep. And
Okay.
played the track. He spit his verse. It was just that easy. So he's a professional. He's real easygoing. Obviously a comedian.
Yeah.
His personality on Drink Champs, honestly, is his personality.
Oh, 100%.
That's how he is.
100%.
Did you guys see the reggaeton shit coming, or
I didn't see it coming.
Nah, I didn't.
Nah.
did it make sense though? At the time,
I think it makes sense. I mean,
it was
TrackMasters,
innovative. Like,
we had a float in the Puerto Rican Day Parade that we had Nori on with us.
Yeah.
So we might have sparked that idea because we was doing every parade that year.
Yeah.
I was like, we getting it popping. And so
Yeah.
we had every parade. It was him, it was Esco, it was everybody, and Fox
Well,
came in.
he's also Hispanic. It's not like
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not far-fetched at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? So it was like Puerto Rican Day Parade. He says, I'm there.
Right.
Don't worry, give me the time.
Right.
You know how Nori do.
Yeah.
I wanted to save the last and probably most important, I think, record of y'all entire lives, "No Love Lost" by Shaquille O'Neal, featuring Jay-Z and Lord Tariq. I really want to do a deep dive into what that session was like. I want to save it to, independent woman is one thing. What was it like with Shaq?
First of all, Shaq is a comedian.
Oh, yeah.
Love Shaq.
He's a comedian, yo.
And he could freestyle.
Shaq's
yeah.
not a bad rapper.
No, Shaq can freestyle,
No,
like off the top of his head.
Yeah.
Listen, his premiere with Fushnikins was real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
A lot of people don't remember that.
Yeah, it was real. Like,
Real,
Mike and Rob.
jokes aside, though, what is Shaq like in the studio? How does Shaq work as a rapper?
He got jokes.
Yeah, he's playful.
Yeah.
Super playful, bro.
I think I remember we recorded in his crib.
Crib, yeah, it was in his
we were in
crib.
his house.
We went
when
to his crib.
We recorded, so he was laid back, just chilling. Like, I don't know. I was more
Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaquille O'Neal, and we were in Orlando in this house that was granted everything.
Yeah.
Everything was granted.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's a fucking mall.
Yeah. What over the past, I guess, cause y'all been in it almost 4 decades.
Damn.
I know that number is like, what the fuck?
That's like
But if you think about from start to now,
3.5 decades.
3.5 decades, how do you feel with the landscape of producers now? The music that's out there now in the ecosystem of hip hop, do you feel like it has elevated? Do you feel like it's taken a step back? It's stagnant? It's too much copy and paste? Not enough authenticity? Like, what do you feel like from a production standpoint of hip hop where it stands today?
I think that the age of the super producer doesn't exist as it stands now.
Okay.
I think that the producers these days are more beat makers than anything, more YouTube beats guys than anything. They
Some of
never,
them, right.
some of them. I'm not, I'm just talking about, but I guess that's the way that they got to do to pay their bills. I'm not mad at what they do. I learned a lot from them, the way that they do their production shit. And, so some of it is like really good stuff, but they don't make stars, man. That's my problem. Like
Well,
they
that's
don't.
A&R shit. I mean, from a producer, you feel the same way? Like, well, it was our job to create stars, honestly, back in the day.
Right, that's what I'm like,
I feel
hands on.
producers
Like
should do more.
now they just
development.
send the beat and hope that the guy send the vocals
Yeah,
back.
right.
Like that's not producing. Like,
Yeah.
you don't give no fucking direction. Like, yo, nah, fix this, fix that, change this. That's what a producer does. Like, let's manufacture the fucking hit.
Right.
They don't do that. And they don't mix records anymore. They mix vocals.
Yeah.
When a vocal gets on the track, the fucking sound changes. So you gotta mix the track to the vocals,
Right.
not the vocals to the track.
Right.
Shit is ass backwards to me in that sense.
Right.
But other than that,
Some of them.
Never all.
listen, on the pop side, they still doing it the right way.
On the pop side,
Oh, I mean, I don't.
what-
As far as mixing, mastering, I think pop it's in the best place it's ever been as far as mixing and mastering. Pop is
Absolutely.
the best it's ever sounded
Yes.
as far as a mix goes
100%.
than I've ever heard.
there's world class mix engineers right now that we've worked with in the past that are now living in Atlanta. That I'll get a phone call from every now and again. Bro, save me. Save me. Yo, every song is 4 tracks. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm getting paid a lot of money to do nothing. He's like, oh my God, like save me.
Yeah.
What are the guys doing? Call them for me, please. Like I get those calls on a regular.
I like that. What are the guys doing? Is TrackMasters, are y'all working with anybody still today that y'all feel like is like the world doesn't know about yet?
Artists?
Yeah.
Fouché. Fouché is definitely one of the most talented artists in the industry right now.
Mm-hmm. Soul in the Horn alumni.
Were you guys at the show in Forest Hills a little while ago?
I was there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to. It was a great performance.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say Fouché. I mean, someone that we're working with.
Okay.
But we have artists that are like in our camp that we're developing right now that are ridiculously talented. And I just think that that's what the industry is missing. I think we need more artist development,
Absolutely.
to create more stars, So, where's the next Beyonce? And I can go on and on naming icons and saying, where's the next one? So I think that the industry or A&Rs in the industry need to do a better job at just developing. So
Is the space even open for that though? Like the way people say the next fill in the blank of whatever legend. I don't even know if the space is designed for that at this moment. Take talent away from it. Can a star really exist right now in the capacity the way a Beyonce did?
I just think it takes.
Say what you will about his music. I think Weeknd might be the closest star that you could think of.
That's megastar. Yeah, but I think that it just takes longer to develop them.
Yeah.
Because it's a hands-on process. You got to make records, and if you don't have a following, you got to build up that social engagement. And we're in the celebrity business now as opposed to the music business.
Yeah.
So if you don't build up the celebrity side of that stature, then it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
It don't matter how big or how good the record sounds. Nobody's paying attention. So you have to build up that portion of it for people to pay attention. You got eyeballs and ears. And once you get that, then you can display what you've been working on in terms of the star.
Right.
I think Ice Spice team is doing a great job. I mean, however you feel about her as a talent, like maybe if you're into lyrics, you might not listen to Ice Spice, but I think the way that they're developing Ice Spice, they're right on par with making her. It's not Beyonce, but you know what I mean.
Definitely not Beyonce.
Her version of Beyonce.
but that next star female rapper.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the bar is so low for talent now, from the A&R perspective. And I think in order to recapture that Beyonce, Jay-Z, Nas, you know, Michael, Prince, Whitney,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna come from the A&R and not the data side of A&R.
Right.
It has to come from the other side because all A&R now is data. That's why even more this A&R still exists.
Yeah.
But not from the data perspective.
Right.
Because if I say Google, the guy who won American Idol, what's his name? Something Hung.
Mm-hmm.
He had 1 million views, but that don't mean I should sign him because
Right.
he had a million hung. He had
Right.
a million views. I'm not going to sign him for that. I
Right.
still got to listen to this and then go sit with them and say, hey, can we make this that?
Right.
And then it's like, you know what? We can. Now let's do the other stuff of today with the data to
Right.
follow.
I mean,
Right.
Because you got to add on. Because think about artists and repertoire is different now.
well, the A and A&R stands for algorithm now.
Yeah.
It does not stand for artist.
At all.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The repertoire used to be the artist's songs that were created.
Mhm.
But now the repertoire, because of the expansion of technology, repertoire is now, if I do a freestyle on Instagram or TikTok or wherever, that's still repertoire.
Yeah.
That's monetized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The record company doesn't have it, but it's still part of the artist's repertoire.
For sure.
Right.
So we're managing them differently now.
Yeah.
We have to approach it different. A&R is not the same anymore.
Right.
So when they look at a group, they're looking differently. They're not just saying, oh, he could sing. It's like, he could sing, but can he sing in these circumstances in a 11-second TikTok frame, in
Right.
an Instagram block, does he have enough personality to carry the visual data that we need
Mhm.
along with everybody doing what we normally would do?
Right.
And that perfect storm will create that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because the structure of songs is now based off the 5 seconds we can find in it rather than 3 minutes.
Facts.
So that's where things differ. And even with the algorithm part, almost to Maul's question as producers that were masters at sampling, you remember the Prince clip or whatever interview he was doing where he said sampling is fine, but eventually the samples are going to start sampling the sample and the samples.
That's
gonna
where we're
sample
at.
sample.
Happening
That's
right
where we're at.
now.
For sure. And
That's
I think, of
smart.
course, that's
What?
it's crazy that Prince predicted that so long ago.
Facts.
Mhm.
And with that, with the algorithms, they're just going back to the data of what worked. So go sample this shit.
Right.
How is sampling changed? Because how you guys sample,
Right.
and how sampling now it's a remix. It's not a sample. It's the fucking song.
Redo it.
Lyrics included.
Yeah, lyrics included. That's funny.
How do you guys look at quote unquote sampling now?
I hear a lot of interpolations too, though.
Oh yeah, they play a lot of the shit so, to get what they consider their sound of what that is.
Yeah.
I just be like, yo, why are you sampling that guy's record when you can just go back to the original and sample that, and you don't have to
Can
pay
we
all
edit
this
3
pub.
Can we edit that part? Because I like the fact that they sample us.
Yeah, let's leave that. Let's leave that. What are you doing? What are you doing?
That's smart. I like
Funny. To
Keep it going.
To
I'll
close,
send you my catalog.
to close, all three. What's your favorite hip hop moment in the last 50 years? Not including yourselves, just your favorite as a fan.
Damn.
I know it's a lot to pick from.
I've been a part of so many hip hop moments. Not
Crazy.
favorite hip hop moment. I think for me,
Oh, I got one. Well, that was kind of us, but not really us. I don't know.
I don't know. I think for me it was when Tupac walked on stage with Big. And I think it was Big's release party. Big's release party. Tupac came on stage. They were just in the space together. That comes to mind.
I remember that night.
Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick at the House of Blues.
That was a moment, bro.
Yeah.
That was a moment.
And R. Kelly and Jay-Z when R. Kelly melted down.
It's one of my favorites as well.
I remember that one too.
The moment that stand out for me is, even though we was involved in it, but not really, I guess we are, when Jay-Z brought out Michael Jackson on Summer Jam.
Yeah.
Summer Jam.
Because that, Mike never touched Summer Jam stage ever.
Right.
And Jay brought him out.
Yeah.
It just put Jay on another level. Like, nah, you MCs, I can't. This is different.
I remember people, that was such a moment. I remember people saying, like, that was a fake Michael Jackson. That wasn't really Mike ain't going to Summer Jam. I'm just looking at people like, yo, y'all are stupid. That was definitely monumental. I was mad I didn't go to that one. That's one of the bigger ones. And the meme that everybody posted, Jay now, after the show in the dressing room, and he's just staring at the camera. He's not even saying nothing. Everybody behind him going crazy. They don't know that was Jay Wayne saying, I don't even have to say nothing no more.
Facts.
Like I bought Michael Jackson to the Summer Jam stage. I'm not doing the interview. It's over.
I was on stage that night too. I was right there, and every picture that I see, I'm like, I'm right here.
Right.
Let's go to the side.
You see Mike's curl? I'm right next to the curl.
It was fun to see all of the dudes, all the street guys and everybody, the tough guy. And it was like y'all were all such little kids when Mike came out. Like nobody could believe that Mike really showed up to that.
He just he just came from our session because we did the remix with him and Jay.
Yep.
And that's what the result of that was.
Right.
Well, what was Mike like in the studio?
He was cool.
I wanted to hit.
Yeah, he was stabbing me in my chest saying, I want the snare to hit like this, Poe. I was like, nigga, this shit hurt, bro. Like knives in his fingers.
Yeah,
It was crazy. It was
Did you know what he meant though?
I know exactly what he meant. He wanted the snare to make you blink when the snare hit.
Okay.
So he was stabbing me to make me blink or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
Mike
So
is genius.
it was
Crazy.
a moment.
Did you see the This Is It documentary?
Yeah.
When they're doing rehearsals and he gets in the bass player's face, your bass line's not funky enough. It's one of my favorite moments of
Do it again for love. Do it for love. Let's have it for love. And he starts moving
Even
his-
when he was mad at the crew, he's like, with love.
With
Like,
love.
I'm getting in y'all ass, but it's with love. Bro. That was dope.
Unbelievable.
What's your favorite hip hop moment?
Man, there's so many. You know, I grew up on Cedar Avenue, right where Kool Herc and all of that. So I'm gonna say my first hip hop moment was seeing Kool Herc DJ at 7 years old, coming from the pool.
Great.
I'm a Caribbean kid. We Virgin Island kids. So every summer we got to go to the pool and swim till our fingers get pruny.
Yeah.
So coming out, we leaving the pool. You got to walk past Cedar Park to go home, and we see this guy in there. He's setting up equipment, and what the hell is he? We don't even know we little. And when it comes on, we're like, and we run to the gate, and it's just like these turntables, and the music is going crazy. And I'm just like, that's what I want to do when I go home.
Yeah.
Took my dad's record.
Yeah.
Not my Al Green. I was like, anything but the Al Green.
Yeah.
And probably another one currently, well, not current, but would probably be, which is a little bit of us, a Summer Jam moment. I'm at Summer Jam. Jay-Z is on stage. And he says, I'm about $1. What the fuck is 50 cents? But I'm 50's A&R. And Shaka Zulu is backstage with 50, introducing him to people backstage.
Yeah.
So I'm texting them, we popping right now. So it was just for me, it was just like, wow. And I didn't even think it was on Jay's radar at all.
Yeah.
So it was just, those are two great hip hop moments for me.
In closing, because Rory and myself talk about it often, like everything that hip hop has provided for us and done for us. If there's anything that y'all could say to hip hop, to the culture of hip hop, what would it be?
For me, it would be just stay original. Instead of like producers sounding like other producers, like have your own sound, you know. And I'm just talking to producers at that point. I never wanted to sound like Pharrell. Pharrell never wanted to sound like Timberland. Timberland never wanted to sound like JD. On and on and on.
Right.
You know, it was more of a competitive thing. You know, so just stay original. You know, just keep hip hop alive, I guess.
Right.
But I like hip hop right now.
Yeah.
Honestly, I really do. I like where it's at. I think the artists are more creative than, not lyrically, but the artists are a little more creative than some of the rappers from our generation. I knew you would say that.
Yeah.
But I really
Slick Rick, Big Daddy Kane, EPMD.
I didn't say lyrically. I never said lyrically.
Style. Look at Big
never-
Daddy Kane. Never mind. Go ahead.
Yeah. Not lyrically.
Yeah.
Not lyrically. Not see, Ice Spice is dope.
I fuck with Ice Spice. No. We're advocates of
BX
Ice
all
Spice.
day.
Yeah.
But now,
Stay original.
that's what I would say. Stay original.
I would say, it might be a little corny, but let's try to get another 50 out of this shit.
Yeah.
That's real.
If we,
That's
can,
very real.
if we can give him another 50, I listen. And it's funny about life because you look at, I'm 53 now,
Mhm.
right? I started when I was 17, 16.
Mhm.
And you look at life and half this shit is a fucking blur to me.
Yeah.
And it moves faster. When you hear your mom's life moves fast or your dad, life move fast, and you don't know what the fuck they talking about.
Right.
That's what they meant.
Yeah.
So if God willing, we get another 30, 35 out of this,
Mhm.
and I can see another 35 joints out of what we've already laid the foundation for, I can check out feeling like I did what I had to do.
Like
Facts.
Rich.
I think simply I would say that hip hop is not rap.
Mm.
Hip hop is consisted of 4 elements. Rap is one of them.
Right.
And I think when people say hip hop, they only say rap.
Right.
Like even we talking about the 50th anniversary of hip hop, people are really only celebrating the last 25, 30 years of hip hop.
Right.
They're not even going to the other elements.
Mhm.
They're not talking, there's hardly anyone talking about the graph writers.
Right.
The B-boys are kind of in the background.
Yeah.
When hip hop started, it was about the DJ and the dancers
Yeah.
and the art. And the MCs came at the last.
Yeah.
We was the last one.
Yeah.
It was all about him. Polk is
Yeah.
a DJ. People don't feel Polk is a DJ on like big stages.
Right.
So me and him was check 1 2s. Polk is,
Yeah.
yo, check this beat out. Yo, listen to this.
Mhm.
And so I think for hip hop, in my personal opinion, to go another 50, we gotta start respecting the other parts of hip hop and not just saying hip hop and go rap.
Right.
Because hip hop is not rap. Hip hop is bigger than rap. Hip hop is all of those together. And our culture, the way we dress, our sneakers, the way we wear our hats,
Mhm.
that's all hip hop.
Mhm.
And when we talk about the anniversary of it, we gotta celebrate it and talk about it
Mhm.
so we can get another 50
Right.
Yeah.
with this. You know,
Right.
you got some movies that they using our slang and just
Yeah.
like another country, they translate in our slang in their language
Right.
Mhm.
without a rapper.
Mhm.
So it's like we got to make sure when people say hip hop, it's like, yeah, but it's not just rap.
Right.
Mhm.
It's more. What y'all doing? This is hip hop.
Right.
Yeah.
Y'all not rapping,
Mhm.
but it's hip hop.
The reason why they say rap first is because that's the one thing that got monetized out of hip hop.
Right.
Mm.
That's what they stole quick
Yeah.
and said, you don't need a DJ. We'll give you a DAT.
Yeah.
Right.
Good.
But listen, the DJs have made a huge comeback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like shit.
Yeah.
They the one they're like stars now.
Mhm.
So
It's harder to own what the DJ does. It's easier to own what the rapper does.
There you go.
That's
Facts.
where
IP.
that was
It's an IP game.
much easier to own that voice than to be
Facts.
able to own what someone does live on turntables. So
Facts.
Facts.
naturally, it went that route. And you're talking bet. Perfect. This is what they're reciting back. Say no more.
Exactly.
Well, we want to thank y'all for kicking it with us, man. This has been this has been more than fun, man. This
Yeah,
has been
appreciate
something
it.
that I've been wanting to do. Sit down and kick it with some of my favorite producers ever.
Appreciate
And we want to thank y'all for everything that y'all have done to the culture, for
Appreciate
the
it.
culture, everything that y'all have added to the ecosystem of hip hop. We appreciate it. And yeah, man, I just at some point I just want to see more people talking about TrackMasters and what they've done, because I feel like, especially Poke, you're so soft spoken. Like it's like, but you
I
gotta
appreciate that.
the shit that you've done is like beyond comprehension to me.
I appreciate
So we thank y'all for coming. We thank y'all for kicking it with us. And cheers to another 50 years of hip hop.
it.
For sure.
No Warrior